With us now are Jonathan Lemire of Politico's White House bureau chief and host of Way Too Early right here on MSNBC, and Susan Page, Washington bureau chief for USA Today. Thanks both for being here. Susan, what does Donald Trump's shift in tone last night? We discussed earlier that there was a shift in tone. He was very conciliatory. Now, he was trying to move past the name calling, but already today on Truth Social, he was going after Nikki Haley. So what are we expecting from him going forward? And let's say at the rally in New Hampshire tonight.
Yeah. Last night, it was he was the candidate who already thought the Republican Party was coalescing behind him, and he was the nominee, offering he's welcoming people, Republicans in Congress and elsewhere, to endorse him now. And that's not quite true yet, but he's pretty close to being the presumptive nominee. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be a different Donald Trump if, for instance, Nikki Haley doesn't endorse him. If she doesn't do well, gets out of the race, doesn't endorse him. I mean, he still expects fealty from other Republicans. But I thought it was an interesting turn in his general manner last night.
Jonathan, Ron DeSantis has, both in Florida and on the campaign trail, focused on Iowa, really styled himself as going to the right of Donald Trump on a lot of issues, and certainly going after the evangelical vote, which could help him in South Carolina and the rest of the South. But, you know, what else does he have to do to try to prove that he is an effective challenger if he could knock Haley out and if she fell behind certainly in New Hampshire?
I mean, time is certainly running out for Governor DeSantis. He pretty much put all his chips on the table when it came to Iowa. He visited all 99 counties. His polling suggests that after each visit, he became less popular in each individual county. And yes, he got second place last night, and he billed it as his ticket out of Iowa, but it's a 30-point defeat. There's no way to sugarcoat that. That is a devastating defeat for Governor DeSantis, who poured so much into Iowa. He's barely playing in New Hampshire. He'll spend a little time there this next week or so. He now is going to try to make his final stand in South Carolina. But if Haley now emerges with a strong showing in New Hampshire, I think she's got to win. Maybe a close defeat will do it. Then it really becomes a two-person race. And already we're seeing from Haley, she's already tried to frame it as a two-person race, saying she won't debate DeSantis. She'll only debate Trump. She wants that to be the conversation going forward. Trump, of course, rejects that. So the race is not quite over, but the only way that can change, and I don't think it's for DeSantis, would be if Haley can win New Hampshire. What is clear right now, though, is it's Donald Trump's nomination to lose.
But what if, Susan, she were to win New Hampshire, where she's well positioned with, voters who can cross over, more moderate voters, but then she could get slammed in South Carolina and have the humiliation of losing her home state, where it is a much more conservative electorate, more closely similar to Iowa's.
If she wins New Hampshire, that's huge. And it shakes things up. It makes people say, oh, somebody defeated Donald Trump, who seems to have such a stranglehold on the Republican Party. But you're right. He then has to win somewhere else. And it will be especially embarrassing if he ends up shellacking her in South Carolina, her home state. But that's not to diminish what a New Hampshire victory would be like for her. And we've seen in the past that a victory in New Hampshire can give candidates momentum that carries them some distance, say, to Super Tuesday on March 5th.
And Jonathan, just quickly, did she peak too soon in Iowa?
She may have, and she was running a pretty flawless campaign up until the end, then had a couple of significant stumbles, most notably about the cause of the Civil War when she didn't say slavery. She also made a joke at Iowa's expense that didn't land well. I think the only path for Haley is this. She'd have to win. And then she does get a little bit of a break in the calendar where it's nearly a month inside between New Hampshire and South Carolina. And she'd go into South Carolina as the heavy underdog. But in that month, could she have momentum? Would DeSantis drop out? Would it officially be a two-person race? And perhaps most importantly, would Trump start to self-destruct after a loss? Perhaps it would be he'd start committing errors and maybe they'd be held against him. That's still a narrow path, but at least it is a path. There's a semblance of a path for Haley where it's hard to see DeSantis having any one at all.